It's just kind of who I am. I want to pour into my team as much as possible, and I'm pretty in tune with my body. I can read a room pretty well, and so when I see we're lacking a little bit, you got to step up. But if we're good, you're just there to encourage and give people confidence.
The world of women's basketball just experienced a seismic shift. And for once, it didn't happen on the hardwood. When the news broke that Caitlin Clark had officially signed a multi-year partnership with NBC Universal to become a special contributor for their basketball coverage, the sports world froze. This wasn't just a rookie signing a standard sponsorship. This was a hostile takeover of the media narrative. Music, Clark effectively told the world that she doesn't need the WNBA's validation, nor does she need to play in their new, unrivaled off-season league to stay the biggest name in sports. But while the WNBA establishment responded with their usual icy silence, one player decided to break ranks. Sophie Cunningham, the Phoenix Mercury star, often painted as the villain in Clark's story, has seemingly had enough of the charade. In a series of moves and comments that have flown under the radar of the mainstream media, Cunningham has exploded at the hypocrisy that is rotting the league from the inside out. She is exposing the jealousy, the financial stupidity, and the internal politics that are threatening to ruin the biggest golden goose the sport has ever seen. To understand why Sophie Cunningham is losing her patience, you have to understand the magnitude of what Caitlin Clark just did. For decades, music, the script for WNBA players, was written in stone. You play the season, and then you go overseas to Russia, Turkey, or China to grind for a paycheck because the league doesn't pay enough to live comfortably on a superstar level. Or, more recently, you bowed down to the pressure and joined the league-approved off-season camps. Clark took that script and threw it in the trash. By joining NBC, she will be appearing on Sunday Night Football broadcasts, Big Ten Saturday night, and debuting at Madison Square Garden. But she won't be in a jersey, sweating for a loose ball. She'll be in a blazer, sitting next to icons like Vince Carter and Carmelo Anthony. This is a level of mainstream integration that no female basketball player has ever achieved this early in her career. She is positioning herself not just as a WNBA player, but as a peer to the biggest male athletes in the world. And the silence from the WNBA league office, it speaks volumes. They know they're losing control over her. And that terrified silence, music, is exactly what Sophie Cunningham is reacting to. The backdrop of this explosion is the drama surrounding the new, unrivaled league. Music, this 3-on-3 league, was founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, two massive stars who are also high-ranking officials in the WNBA Players Association. They aggressively courted Clark, reportedly offering her over $1 million equity in the league and a contract structure that was compared to Lionel Messi's deal in Miami. The pressure was immense. The narrative being spun behind the scenes was that if Clark didn't join, she wasn't supporting the sisterhood. She was expected to use her fame to boost their league, to put money in their pockets. When Clark said no and chose NBC instead, the resentment in the old guard circles reached a boiling point. They viewed it as a betrayal. But this is where the story twists. Sophie Cunningham, who has been around the block, sees the situation for what it really is, a smart business move. Cunningham knows that the unrivaled league has a potential conflict of interest. Active players running a league and pressuring other players to join creates a weird, uncomfortable power dynamic. By rejecting that pressure, Clark proved she can't be bought or bullied. The media has spent the last year trying to manufacture a blood feud between Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark. They replay the clips of physical fouls, music, the trash talk, and the hard screens, try to paint Cunningham as the enforcer sent to humble the rookie. And sure, Sophie plays a physical, gritty game. That's her brand. But off the court, Sophie is one of the sharpest business minds in the league. While other veterans were busy throwing shade on podcasts or claiming Clark isn't that good, Cunningham was the one who kept it real. In the midst of the charter flight debates, it was Cunningham who openly admitted that the only reason they weren't flying commercial anymore was because of Caitlin Clark. She exploded the narrative that the league was growing organically. She gave credit where it was due. Her recent frustration seems to stem from a league that is happy to take the money Clark generates, but refuses to give her the respect she earns. Cunningham is looking around the locker rooms and essentially asking, "Are you guys serious?" She sees the chartered planes, the sold-out arenas, and the new TV deals, and Music knows exactly who signed the check. This is why Cunningham's reaction to the NBC news is so important. The media wants her to be hateful. They want a soundbite of her saying Clark doesn't deserve the NBC spot, but Cunningham isn't giving it to them. Instead, her explosion is directed at the critics and the system. She understands that rising tides lift all boats. If Caitlin Clark becomes a massive media star, Music on NBC, that brings more eyeballs back to the WNBA when the season starts. Cunningham is exposing the short-sightedness of the players who are bitter. It's almost as if she's saying, let her get the bag because that bag eventually helps us too. This breaks the code of silence that the veterans usually uphold. Usually, WNBA players stick together publicly, Music, even if they are wrong. Cunningham is breaking rank to side with common sense. And in the cliquey world of the WNBA, that is a revolutionary act. Let's dig deeper into the mean girl culture that Cunningham is inadvertently exposing. We've seen the comments from legends like Cheryl Swoops, Music, who tried to erase Clark's record from the history books with false stats. We've seen the awkward freeze-outs during Team USA selection. There's a palpable energy of, you can't sit with us directed at Clark. By taking the NBC deal, Clark didn't just find a new table to sit at. She bought the whole restaurant. Cunningham seems to be the only one laughing at the irony. While other players are posting cryptic messages on social media about loyalty and grind, Cunningham is out there living her Music best life, seemingly unbothered by Clark's success. Her attitude highlights just how petty the rest of the league looks in comparison. When Sophie explodes, it's often through her refusal to participate in the hate train. She talks about the game. She talks about business. But she refuses to disparage the rookie who is paying the league's bills. Money talks. And right now, Caitlin Clark is screaming that we need to talk about the numbers because this is what truly drives the jealousy Cunningham is calling out. The maximum salary in the WNBA is roughly $250,000. The unrivaled league was offering big money, but it still required physical labor, playing basketball, risking injury, and grinding in a training camp in Miami. The NBC deal, rumors suggest the compensation is astronomical. Music, likely dwarfing her WNBA salary, and she doesn't have to break a sweat. She gets to sit in a studio, analyze the game she loves, and build her brand.